Your table's ready, Mr. Adams, the host said. I turned to my fiancée. She was already smiling at a text from Jason that said, "Nail him tonight." I left the ring in the tip jar and sent her one final message. They called my name just as her phone lit up. Your table's ready, Mr. Adams, the host smiled, holding out an arm toward the rooftop. But Erica didn't hear it. She wasn't even looking at me. She was already smiling at something else. Or rather, someone else. It was that exact kind of smile people get when they think they're about to pull something off. The kind of smile you give to someone who's in on the joke. And I wasn't. She didn't notice me glance over her shoulder. Didn't notice the message still sitting on her lock screen in bold white text. Jason, nail him tonight. No punctuation. No hesitation. Just instructions. For a second, I froze. Then I looked at her. The woman I was about to propose to. The person I thought I knew better than anyone. She looked back at me, all sparkle and excitement and pretending. And just like that, I knew. I wasn't the man she was thinking about when she got dressed tonight. I wasn't the person on her mind as she checked her reflection in the elevator mirror. I wasn't even the person she'd texted before arriving. Jason was. And he wasn't just some random guy. Jason was her best friend. The one she swore was like a brother to her. The one who showed up to our housewarming with a six-pack and a smirk. The one who called her in front of me and winked like I was a toddler trying to play poker at the grown-up table. I didn't say a word. Instead, I stepped aside and let her walk past the host, her heels clicking across the marble as she slipped her phone back into her clutch like nothing happened. As if I hadn't just seen it. As if I was still blind. She turned to me when we reached the edge of the rooftop, breathless from the view. "Oh my God, Luke," she said, touching my arm. "This is stunning." I nodded. My fingers brushed the inside of my coat pocket, where the small velvet box sat like dead weight. I had it all planned. Reservation at Riva Lounge, the corner table with the skyline behind us. A bottle of wine she'd once said reminded her of Paris. A ring I'd custom designed 3 months ago, one she described to her sister years before we even started dating. I wanted it to be perfect. It was supposed to be the night I asked her to be my wife. Now I was sitting across from someone who'd come here under orders to nail me. Let that sink in. She got a text from another man, her best friend, the guy I'd never been comfortable with, and it was a full-on green light to seduce me. For what? Guilt? Manipulation? Leverage? The worst part was the ease. The way she carried on like she hadn't just received that message. She was laughing, brushing her hair behind her ear, pretending to be present. And for a few moments, I matched her. I smiled. I held her hand when she reached for mine. I said, "Thank you," when she complimented the view. She never asked why I wasn't drinking. Never noticed how often I checked the time. But in my head, everything was rewinding. He's just like family. Every night she claimed she was with the girls. Every time Jason commented on her Instagram posts at 2 a.m., I'd brush them off. I made excuses for her. Told myself she deserved to have guy friends. Told myself I was being paranoid. But that night, I wasn't paranoid. I was finally seeing it for what it was. This wasn't just a text. This was proof of a plan. Of a setup. Of a lie that had gone on longer than I wanted to admit. And here's the thing. I could have made a scene. I could have called her out at the table. But what would that do? She would have gaslighted her way through it. Told me it was a joke, that I misunderstood it. And maybe a few months ago, I would have bought that. But I wasn't in that place anymore. So I excused myself instead. Told her I needed to wash up. Walked straight to the restroom. Pulled the ring box from my coat. Looked at it under the yellow light of the mirror, and then shoved it deep into my jacket. My hands were shaking, but not with nerves. I didn't feel nervous. I felt steady. Still. Like someone who'd just walked out of a burning building and hadn't even looked back. On the way back, I stopped at the bar. The bartender, a guy maybe in his 20s with a tattoo sleeve and no idea what he was witnessing, smiled at me. "You good, man?" "Yeah," I said, placing 2 bills on the counter. "Just a long night." And then I reached into my coat, took out the box, and dropped it, just like that, into the tip jar. Didn't say a word. Didn't wait for a reaction. Walked straight back to the table. Erica was scrolling her phone. She looked up and smiled. "Everything okay?" I smiled back. "Oh yeah," I said, pulling out my phone. Just needed a moment. That moment was long enough for me to draft one last message. No anger. No confrontation. Just this. "Hope you and Jason enjoy dessert." I left something shiny in the tip jar. Then I blocked her number. And walked away. When I walked out of that restaurant, I didn't head home. I didn't even know where I was going, exactly. I just kept walking. Past the valets. Past the warm rooftop laughter. Past a couple clinking glasses on the patio who probably thought they were in love. The wind was sharp that night. But my thoughts were sharper. Because the moment I saw that message, "Nail him tonight," something in me snapped into focus. And suddenly, all the little things I'd filed away as not worth fighting over started crawling back. Every ignored instinct. Every gut feeling I'd silenced just to keep the peace. The first time I met Jason, it was at a brunch Erica dragged me to. She introduced him as her ride or die since sophomore year. They had this rehearsed back and forth, inside jokes, phrases I didn't recognize. Jason made a show of pretending to interrogate me, joking about protecting her from heartbreak, and Erica just laughed like it was cute. I should have paid more attention then. Or a few months later, when I found her asleep on the couch with her phone still unlocked. I didn't mean to snoop. I was just going to plug it in for her, but the screen lit up and there it was. Jason, next time I'm just climbing in with you, LOL. I stared at that message for 5 solid seconds. Then I put her phone down and never brought it up. You know why? Because she told me once. Trust means not going through each other's phones. And I bought that. I wanted to be the guy who trusted her, who didn't turn every little thing into a fight. I convinced myself that message was just a joke, that their relationship had boundaries, that I was being insecure. It's embarrassing to admit now, but I even apologized once for making her feel like she had to walk on eggshells around Jason. Eggshells? She was waltzing across broken glass barefoot and smiling while she did it. But back then, I was too deep in it to see clearly. There were nights she came home late and blamed traffic, or her friend Olivia needing to talk. Times I'd text her twice, get no reply for hours, then a breezy, "Sorry, phone was dead," while I stared at her Instagram story that had gone up 20 minutes earlier. It didn't make sense, but she made me feel like I was crazy for questioning it. Do you not trust me? Why are you always assuming the worst? Jason's never even looked at me that way. That last one hit harder in hindsight. Because if Jason never looked at her that way, then why did I once overhear her whispering on a call, laughing quietly, saying, "He doesn't know. And he won't." She told me it was about her sister's birthday surprise. Right. And still I stayed. I told myself she loved me. That some relationships just come with complications. That she and Jason were just close, in a way I didn't understand. It wasn't until months later, during her Miami girls trip, that something finally broke through. Erica came home tanned, glowing, full of stories. I asked to see pictures. She showed me sunsets, hotel brunches, a poolside shot with her friends. Nothing seemed off, until I saw Jason's Instagram post that same weekend. It was gone within 5 minutes. But I saw it. A blurry video at a club. Loud music, flashing lights, bodies moving. In the background, briefly, was someone in a tight gold dress. The same dress Erica had tried on for me the week before. Same hoop earrings. Same hair. I didn't bring it up. I convinced myself it could have been someone else. Miami was huge, right? Coincidences happened. Jason lived for party content. Maybe he was there separately? But looking back, I know exactly what it was. She wasn't on a girl's trip. She was with him. And the more I reflect, the more I realize Jason had been testing boundaries for months. The late-night calls. The accidental shoulder touches. The way he always found ways to insert himself into our plans. Like when we went hiking, and he somehow ended up tagging along. Or the time I planned a birthday weekend for her, and she insisted we swing by Jason's place for pre-drinks. It wasn't just me being left out. It was them drawing a line and making sure I stayed on the other side. There was one night, maybe 2 months before all this, when she came home buzzed and giggly, threw her arms around me, and said, "Do you ever think you're just lucky to have me?" At the time, I laughed it off. Now, I see it differently. It wasn't a joke. It was a warning. She thought I was lucky. She thought I was replaceable. She thought she could text another man instructions about me, and still end the night with a ring on her finger. But she miscalculated something important. I don't explode. I plan. And I had just enough information, and just enough silence left, to start making her regret every lie she ever told. You'd think it'd be easy to walk out on someone after seeing what I saw. But the worst betrayals don't blow up in your face. They settle in slow. They're quiet. Calculated. Like hers. I sat back down across from her, and for a moment, the world looked almost normal. The lights from the skyline shimmered behind her. She reached for her champagne and asked if I was ready to order. I looked at her the way someone looks at an old photo. Familiar, but no longer real. She was glowing. That soft, romantic kind of glow women get when they know something big is about to happen. Only she thought it was a proposal. And to her credit, I had done everything to make her believe it. I'd booked the most exclusive rooftop in the city. Table 19, corner view, secluded enough for a private moment. Her favorite wine was already breathing on the table. The server had been briefed to bring dessert with a custom chocolate message. Forever? Every piece of the night had been arranged like a wedding rehearsal for two. But she brought someone else into it. Jason, the man she once introduced as her emotional support guy. I used to laugh at that. I thought it was endearing. I thought I was secure enough not to care. Now I realized she wasn't bringing emotional baggage. She was bringing a backup plan. We went through the motions of the meal. Appetizers. Small talk. She talked about work, how her boss finally approved her vacation, how her coworker Shelby was pregnant again. She pretended not to glance at her phone when it buzzed in her purse. She didn't know I'd already read the only message that mattered. I asked her about the Miami trip. She smiled too easily. "Oh, it was amazing," she said, biting into her scallop. "Honestly, we barely even went out. Just stayed in the hotel most nights, drank wine, spa treatments, you know." Spa treatments. Right. Jason wasn't into spas. He was into nightclubs and rooftop bars with bottle service. And I had the screenshots to prove it. I nodded and took a sip of water. Her voice faded into background noise, because all I could hear was Jason's message again, playing in my head like a looped track. Nail him tonight. No doubt. No fear. Just confidence. He knew I'd propose. She knew I'd propose. They probably laughed about it. Probably had a bet on how I'd react. I wonder if they talked about what she'd do afterward. Would she say yes, collect the ring, and keep cheating? Would she say no and break it off clean? Didn't matter. They wouldn't get to find out. When she excused herself to go powder her nose, I stood up like a gentleman and walked in the other direction, straight to the bar. The bartender, same guy from before, arms sleeved in ink, probably a year younger than me, nodded as I approached. "Everything good?" he asked. I pulled out my wallet. "You see that tip jar?" He nodded. I reached into my jacket. Velvet box. Black. Heavy. Custom cut 1.6 carat oval with a hidden halo and twisted rose gold band. Erica once said if she ever got engaged, she'd want something simple but unforgettable. I spent 10 weeks working with a designer to make it perfect. And now, I was done holding on to it. I dropped it into the tip jar like it was spare change. No announcement. No flair. Just one clean decision. The bartender blinked. I smiled politely. For good service. Then I pulled out my phone and typed one last message to Erica. Not a paragraph. Not an essay. No fight. Just this. "Hope you and Jason enjoy dessert." I left something shiny in the tip jar. Then I blocked her number. Deleted the thread. Took a final look at the skyline I'd planned for our future. And walked out. I didn't rush. Didn't look back to see her reaction. Because this wasn't for her anymore. This was for me. The last time she'd see me wasn't at an airport gate. It wasn't in some tearful confrontation. It was me, silent, dressed in a blazer, leaving behind the lies she helped build, and walking straight into the part of my life where I stopped giving chances to people who already spent them. The wind was colder now. The streets were quieter, but I felt lighter than I had in months. And in my pocket, I held on to something she never expected me to keep, proof. Because if Jason thought he was slick, and Erica thought she was in control, they were both about to find out who they really underestimated. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't sit in the apartment she decorated. Not while her perfume was still on the pillow, not while her favorite mug sat on the counter like everything was fine. Instead, I found a hotel room near the lake, threw my phone on the nightstand, and sat in silence for a long time. Not sad, not heartbroken, just still. Then I remembered something. Jason had a girlfriend. Her name was Riley. We'd met once, briefly, at a mutual friend's barbecue. She was soft-spoken, intelligent, the kind of woman who watches people before speaking. I remember thinking she looked at Erica the way a surgeon looks at an X-ray, like she saw something others missed. At the time, I thought she was just shy. Now I wondered if she was suspicious too. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I pulled up Instagram, searched her name, and sent a message. Just 3 words. "Can we talk?" No response. But the next morning, she replied. "About Jason?" We met at a cafe near the Riverwalk later that afternoon. I was half expecting her to be cold or defensive, but when she saw me, she just sighed like she'd been holding something in for too long. "He's cheating on me," she said before I could open my mouth. I blinked. "You knew?" "Not exactly," she said. "But I knew he was hiding something. He's been distant for months. Always dodging questions. And any time I mentioned Erica, he'd either deflect or change the subject." I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshot I'd saved before blocking Erica. The text. "Nail him tonight." Jason's name bold at the top. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She just nodded, slowly, like someone who spent enough time waiting for the truth to finally land. Then she said something I didn't expect. "Do you want to make them regret it?" We spent the next 2 hours comparing notes. Timelines. Trips. Alibis. Turns out Jason had told Riley he was visiting his dad in Tampa the same weekend he was with Erica in Miami. She pulled up credit card transactions, club tabs, ride shares, one suspicious Airbnb charge. I told her about the birthday party Erica skipped because she wasn't feeling well. That was the same night Riley found a photo on Jason's phone he claimed was old. A blurry rooftop shot. Same dress. Same earrings. Same girl. It wasn't old. It was from the night they pretended to be in 2 different cities. That's when it really clicked. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't one weak moment. It was a full-blown, calculated affair. Not a slip-up. A structure. They'd built it together. And now, they were parading around like nothing happened. Riley looked at me with a calm I wasn't expecting. I don't want to yell. I don't want to fight her. I want her to lose. Same. We started planning. I remembered Erica had an upcoming engagement party to attend. Her friend Amber's, who adored drama and had a guest list that looked like a gossip magazine waiting to explode. I knew Jason would be there. He and Erica were likely going to show up together, as if they'd finally found happiness. We agreed that if they wanted attention, if they wanted to make it public, then we'd help them. Riley would come as my date. Not loudly, not angrily, just visibly, calm, polished, present. And once we had their attention, we'd give them a gift: truth. Screenshots, messages, timeline comparisons, photos with overlapping dates. A clean timeline showing how long they'd been lying, cheating, hiding. We wouldn't post it online. We wouldn't scream at them. We'd let their friends see it. Their co-workers. Their families. In silence. Because nothing hits harder than two liars being exposed in a room full of people who used to believe them. As we left the cafe that day, Riley turned to me and said, "They thought we'd shatter. That we'd crumble. They have no idea how strong people get when they're done protecting the wrong ones." I looked at her and nodded. Let's show them. I arrived with Riley 10 minutes after Erica and Jason. That timing was intentional. We didn't want to make an entrance. We wanted to make a statement. The venue was a rustic modern winery on the edge of town. One of those Instagrammable places with hanging lights, barrel walls, and a soft jazz trio tucked into the corner. Erica had been talking about it for weeks. Her best friend Amber was getting engaged, and half the city seemed invited. Former classmates, colleagues, even some of Erica's family. She had been counting down to this event. Not for Amber, but because she'd finally get to publicly debut her new relationship. Jason, the man she swore had always been just a friend. We entered through the side terrace, unnoticed at first. Riley looked flawless in a navy satin dress, hair pulled back, clutch in one hand and quiet confidence in the other. I wore the same blazer I had on the night I was supposed to propose, because I wanted her to see it. Wanted her to remember the night she thought she'd tricked me. I scanned the room, and then I saw them. Jason, in a smug gray suit, drink already in hand. Erica on his arm, laughing like she didn't just burn 2 relationships to the ground. She looked lighter, freer. That was fine. I didn't come here to argue. I came here to deliver. We walked past them without breaking stride. Riley brushed past Erica's shoulder. Jason did a double take. He recognized her, but neither of them said a word. They weren't sure what we were doing there, and that's exactly how we wanted it. Over the course of the night, I handed out 8 sealed envelopes. Not to everyone, just the right people. Erica's sister, Jason's co-worker who used to flirt with Riley before he found out she was taken. Amber, 2 friends of Erica's who had always defended her. Inside each envelope was a curated timeline. Screenshots of Erica and Jason's texts. Overlapping GPS tags from the Miami weekend. The "Nail him tonight" message, printed in clean, bold letters. Side-by-side photos taken within minutes of each other in 2 different cities, proving Erica lied about where she was. And a simple footer at the bottom. They never stopped. They only got better at hiding. We didn't need to say anything. People can read. And once one envelope was opened, it spread like wildfire. By the time I approached the bar to order a drink, I could feel the energy in the room shift. The way conversations quieted when we passed. The way someone glanced at Erica, then quickly looked away. Jason noticed first. He leaned in toward Erica and whispered something, scanning the room like he was trying to find the leak in his ship. Erica's face tightened. She spotted me standing by the wine display. I raised my glass. No smile. No words. Just acknowledgement. That's when Amber tapped her on the shoulder and handed her an envelope. Erica opened it. Jason leaned in to look. I watched the moment her mouth went slack. Watched Jason's shoulders stiffen. Her eyes met mine across the room, but she didn't move. She didn't speak. Just stood there, holding the evidence of everything they thought they'd buried. Then Riley stepped up beside me and asked, loud enough for those nearby to hear, "Should we toast to honesty?" That broke it. Jason started walking toward us, fast and angry. But Amber intercepted him. "Nope," she said. "Turn around." He tried to talk, but she just raised a hand. "You're embarrassing yourself." Erica was frozen. One of her cousins handed her phone to someone else. People were comparing screenshots. Someone gasped at the "Nail him tonight" message. Jason tried to save face. He laughed, too loudly. "This is insane. It's all fake." But then someone else, Riley's friend Drew, spoke up. "I work in digital forensics. These aren't fake. They're just damning." Silence fell again. Jason turned, looked at Erica, waiting for backup. She said nothing. She looked like a statue in heels. Like someone watching her perfect little performance fall apart in real time. I walked up to them. Not close, just near enough. And said, "The ring wasn't the only thing I left behind." Then I turned and left. No more words. No chaos. No apology. Just two people left standing in a room full of former supporters, holding proof that the story they told the world was built on stolen time and arrogance. Riley followed me out. Outside, under the patio lights, she exhaled like she'd just stepped out of a pressure chamber. "Think they'll recover?" she asked, not really needing an answer. "From the embarrassment?" I said. "Maybe. From themselves? Probably not." We didn't hug. We didn't high-five. We just walked down the gravel path, two people who'd been dragged into a lie, and finally walked out the other side. It's been 5 months since the party. I haven't spoken to Erica, haven't unblocked her, haven't responded to the late-night emails, the desperate messages from burner accounts, or the long-winded apology one of her friends tried to deliver on her behalf. There's nothing left to say, not because I hate her, but because I finally accepted who she was. And once you see someone clearly, it's not about hate. It's about being done with illusions. After the party, she and Jason tried to carry on for a while, posted a few cringeworthy, we're unbothered photos. A beach trip, a blurry dinner, one of those captions that said something like, "Let people talk." But people did more than talk. They remembered. Erica lost friends. Amber blocked her. Her own sister posted a story a week later with the caption, "You don't love someone if you have to lie to keep them." Jason got dropped from 2 side projects he was working on. Apparently one of his investors was at the party and wasn't thrilled to discover he'd been lying about where he'd been during a key pitch weekend. I didn't gloat, but I did screenshot the captions, just for myself. Meanwhile, I moved. New apartment. New job. New city. I told only 3 people where I was going. I left no breadcrumbs. I didn't want anyone knocking on my door pretending they were ready to make things right. Riley and I kept in touch for a while. There wasn't anything romantic there, but there was understanding. A mutual respect. We check in every now and then. Last I heard, she got a promotion and started dating someone new. I was genuinely happy for her. As for me, I took my time. Learned how to cook properly. Took long walks without checking my phone. Read books without wondering if someone was lying to my face while I turned the page. And then, last week, something strange happened. I got a small envelope in the mail. No return address. Handwritten. My name spelled correctly. Inside was a tiny velvet ring box. The ring. The exact one I had dropped into the tip jar that night. Taped to the lid was a folded piece of receipt paper from Riva Lounge. And written in sharp black ink was this. She came back the next day looking for it. Too late. Manager. I laughed for a full minute. It wasn't a cruel laugh. Just quiet, tired amusement. She thought I'd leave it for her to find. That maybe I'd panic. That I'd regret walking away. She didn't understand. The ring wasn't the symbol. The decision was. I keep the ring now. Not as a reminder of her, but as a trophy. A lesson. Because some people wear masks so well, they forget they're pretending. They believe they can say, "Trust me," enough times that you'll stop needing proof. But trust doesn't come from promises. It comes from consistency. And once it's broken, no apology, no proposal, no picture-perfect night can fix it. I look back at that version of me, the one sitting at the rooftop table with a ring in his coat, thinking he was about to start forever. And I want to tell him something simple. You didn't lose her. You lost the version of her that never existed. And honestly, that's the best thing I've ever let go of. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.